Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Vidyam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vishabhai Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. The last session taken in Moksha Gita was the chapter number, if he is not wrong, it was 5 maybe. And we covered avidya, Maya, and then avidya we covered. And then due to some reasons, due to Swami's will, somehow we could not proceed in that. Now that we finished Ashtavakra Gita, and before he gives any other subject, it came from within to restart. And then while he was going through the chapters, some of the chapters which followed avidya, like nature of the universe, mind, 5 koshas, ignorance and wisdom, and one more, process of sadhana. He found that these subjects have been dealt so elaborately, so extensively. In fact, creation of universe and all these sessions have been given twice or thrice. So, and also in the blog. So he thought we would move ahead, and then we reached to the chapter 10, the state of Jivanmukti. That is what we are going to glide together today. That too, not all verses. Major of the verses we will be covering, skipping 2-3 verses due to the time factor. We start with the verse 1 and 2. The Guru said, a Jivanmukta who has reached the imperishable, his Turiya state can never be affected by the pairs of opposites. He always rests in his own Satchit Ananda Swarupa. He roams about happily. The pattern will be like that, like this. Few lines of Krishnanandaji Maharaj's commentary on Shivanandaji Maharaj's verses, followed by whatever flowed from within. That's how we go. In some verses where the flow came in between, it could be also in between Maharaj's commentary also. The individual consciousness of the Jivan Mukta is powerful enough to maintain the existence of his physical body. See the expression. But it is not capable of bringing to him another birth as an embodied being. Has he not covered the entire state of Jivan Mukti in this one expression? Prostrations to Krishnanandji Maharaj for this expression. And then he deals with the prarabdha karma in detail, which is not required because enough we have studied on that, but we will just leave this aspect with one uh, analogy with Maharaj gives. He says, a hunter sees an animal moving in the forest and thinking that it is a tiger, he shoots an arrow on it at it. After the arrow has left the bowstring, he realizes that the animal is not a tiger but a cow. But this subsequent knowledge will not save the cow from being affected by the arrow. The arrow will hit the object which lies within the sphere of the momentum, the arrow's momentum. Similarly, Maharaj says, the Jnani has realized that the whole universe is Brahman only. But the desires which he had given rise during the time when he thought that the objective world is real will not cease from demanding materialization into effects as long as the momentum of their craving lasts. It has left the arrow bow. The desires have left, the prarabdha karma has left the arrow, and it is on its way when he has attained realization. There is no way of taking it back now. Right? So, that is the reason for the illness which most of the realized masters suffered even post realization. The only difference being that they would treat that some body existing in some other planet of the world is suffering, not their body, because they had transcended the body consciousness and reached the realm of what the verse says, Satchit Ananda. The whole universe is his body, for he is in tune with the forces of nature due to his transcending all phenomenal relatives and resting in Brahman consciousness at all times. This is Maharaj's commentary. Any pairs of opposites can be experienced in waking dream state of consciousness. The ananda can be experienced in the deep sleep state of consciousness as what? As absence of agitation due to the absence of BMI. But for the one who has realized the self, who abides in self, has reached the Turiya state, and in that state, the existence as such Chit Ananda essence pervades all other three states. And hence, there can be no pairs of opposites whatever when the Turiyam pervades Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti. Go back to the four states of consciousness given in the 2012 or so, where we ended with this expression of Ramana, where he says, first of all, he said there is no fourth state of consciousness. Ramana said there is only one state, the state, Turiya state, is the state. And he said, waking is waking plus Turiya. Dream is dream plus Turiya. Deep sleep is deep sleep plus Turiya. All these three states are within the Turiya state, but only thing is that up to the point of realization, the Jiva does not realize this truth, eternal truth, and believes whatever experience he is getting in the waking or in the dream. He believes them to be true. In the waking, definitely, wholly he thinks it is true, and the dream, during the dream, it is as though it is real. And the deep sleep, absence of agitation, also he thinks that this is the ultimate stage of Ananda. But whereas go back to that one expression which a Maharaj gave to Swami Sarvapriyanandaji in the Himalayas. He said, Mano ya na mano tum brahma ho. right? It is you are not realizing, but you are always the Turium state. You are always in that state. You have to awaken this truth within yourself to realize your true identity. It is neither a new state, it is not the fourth state, it is not the attaining of any uh, unimaginable state of consciousness, because that is what you are ever. Last week, we listened to the talk on an Bodha verse where he explained that Jivan Mukta has transcended the pairs of opposite attachment, aversion, pain, pleasure, etc. etc. And he verily this self has no mind which will fetch any of this duality for him through his mind lake, with the ripple of thought waves attacking the mind through the medium of vehicle vasanas. All these things, he said, it is not possible for the Jivan Mukta, where he gave you to visualize a scene, to visualize a Jiva and a Jivan Mukta sitting together in dhyana. Resting thus in the state of Satchit Ananda, he roams about happily, says Ashtavakra. And here Maharaj also says the same state. He gave a brief talk to one of you from the temple a couple of weeks before, where he said, Brahman is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, which is the most nearest possible expression of Brahman in finite Sanskrit language. But when it comes to Jiva, the Anantam goes and the Ananda comes in, because for the one who has reached that state, neither Satyam Jnanam Anantam is of any relevance to him, because there are no thoughts, nor Satchit Ananda is of any relevance to him. But the rishis of the yore, they perhaps thought this is flowing from within. When Kali Yuga comes, when there is total lack of peace, then when the jivas go to realize the master and sees him with their own limited equipment, their own limited thought processes, at best, they can only observe and experience what is known to them in their limited identity, that they are bound to say that, oh, the master is in total bliss. Some of you also message him after the bhajan, Guruji, I saw you in total bliss. Okay? That is the only way the state of realization may be understood in the Kali Yuga. Okay? The Sat or the Chit may not be, they are abstract. Sat and Chit can be realized only when you realize self. You cannot see, or you cannot gauge, or you cannot observe a Maharishi and say he is in Satchit. Those expressions are a little more abstract for you to realize that chit state within you. But since you are totally in restlessness, totally in lack of peace, totally in agitation, the one nature which you can relate to, which you are not, is Ananda. That is why at the Atman level, at the Jiva level, the Anantam was replaced with Ananda thoughtfully, though without thought, thousands of years before by the rishis of the yore, and they said Satchit Ananda Swarupa. Perhaps to the onlookers, that's the manifestation of that state can only be one, that is Ananda. Right? No problem. You see him or see anybody and think they are in total bliss. At least, not at the best, at least reach to that state of total bliss. Then we will talk about Satyam Jnanam Ananta. Correct? This state, especially the beautiful expressions of he roams about happily, it is not possible not to quote this verse from Jivanmukta Ananda Lahari, again emerging from the one and only Adi Shankara. Vane vrikshan pakshyan dala phala bharannam rashushikan घनच्छायाच्छन्नान् बहुलकलकूजद्विजगणान् भजन् घस्रेरात्रौ अवनितलतल्पैकशयनो मुनेर्न व्यामोहं भजति गुरुदीक्षा शततमा. During daytime, he may take a leisurely walk in lonely forests, gazing delightfully at the numerous trees standing covered by thick shades, with their branches bent low due to the weight of leaves and fruits, with flocks of birds perching on their top, cooing and wailing variously in chorus, their unsullied pure songs and tunes, adding greatly to the charm and glory of the pristine wilderness. At night, he may lie fast asleep on the strong bed of undecked surface of Mother Earth, the one common gift of nature to the mankind. Whatever be thus the resort of the illumined ascetic, whose ignorance has been rent asunder by the graceful illumination, Guru Diksha Shatatama, graceful illumination given by the teacher. His mind will never ever be having any attachment, any agitation, any delusion. Moha is the expression. Navya Moham. Whether any sadhaka ever reaches to the real nectarine beauty of the state of Jivanmukti expressed through this pour or not. What he has been going through, taking up this and parallelly taking up each day one verse from Ashtavakra Gita, all are coming to the same essence. What he has been going through is far beyond any expression, far beyond any words. And it is fulfillment in itself. Even if we are able to reach to 25% of what he has been going through, that will be such an experience which nobody else in the world will undergo. He can sign and give it to you authentically. A Jivan Mukta, next verse. A Jivan Mukta realizes that he is beyond the three bodies and five koshas. He is, in fact, the witness of the three states. He is pure consciousness. We have already covered the Turiyam state. Witnessing, uh, Maharaj touched upon the Turiya state, and now he is adding one more nectarine essence, beauty, flavor to the Turiya state, which is the nature, very nature of the Turiya state. He says the Turiya state is the witness of the other three states of consciousness. Now the commentary. The expanded consciousness soars above the five sheets and hails beyond the region of thought and intellect. The Jivan Mukta's thoughts and action do not promise a future world of experience for him. Do not promise a future world. He experiences the world and individuality only apparently and not in reality. He does not get delighted by pleasures, nor do distresses pain him. He has nothing dear, nothing inimical. Even violent distractions cannot make him move away from the reality. The one consciousness, the commentary gets over, the one consciousness, Chetana, which witnesses three states, five koshas, which illumines the three states, five koshas, which graces the three states and five koshas to function, yet it remains ever free from the three states and five koshas. Coming to this grace expression, again a pour was given to a devotee during a morning walk where he said, if ever one thinks that on getting up on a morning, like an automatic on switch, the mind from nowhere, it will start functioning. It is not true, because any perishable thing in this world has to have a prior cost to it. Of course, the mind is perishable. It decays and perishes. The intellect decays and perishes. Of course, the body even at the grosser level, not even to think about it. When with the mind being an imperishable thing, he quoted an analogy which flowed at that time while he was walking, like the third of the passengers sitting with a reserved seat compassionately and gracefully shares his seat with another person standing there. It is as though these are all figurative. Okay, these are all for meditation to go beyond all these analogies. Okay, but they give a beautiful kick to in your meditation process. He said, as though pure consciousness gracefully, compassionately allows the mind to function. And without that compassion and grace, the pure consciousness showers illumination, we all know. A new expression came that day. Without graceful compassion of pure consciousness, any chance of mind getting illumined pure by pure consciousness, and the possibility of the mind functioning purely where the mind is pure intellect, pure consciousness only, or in purely where it gets perverted. Both possibilities are not there till the time pure consciousness gracefully, compassionately allows mind, intellect to borrow its light. Right? It illumines all of them. Without that, nothing will get illuminated. In its glorious existence, the three states, three bodies, and the five koshas get illumined, get enlivened. How? Mystically. There is not, nowhere in the expression this process of creation can be, has been, and it will never ever be explained properly, because pure consciousness, nirguna nirakara, why it will to create. So ultimate solution to this also he has given you many times. He said, since you will never find answer to this question, only solution this birth, next birth, after 10 births, whatever, to transcend this question and to exist as that. Where knowing which or everything else is no, knowing which there is no confusion as to how pure consciousness me can create, because you are not creating when you exist as pure consciousness. There is no creation for you. So the question has lost its relevance. It is gone. All questions are gone. All doubts are gone. All issues are gone. In that state of, for the onlookers, Ananda. When Satyam Jnanam Anantam illumines this creation, Ananda wipes off this creation. Experience, experience, experience all these things. Life is getting wasted in pursuit of Arthakama. Of course, we must as Grahasthas. Of course, even the when it comes to women, they have to undertake the dharma as in the grahastha, but let it go on. But each day is getting wasted. Each day is a treasure when it comes to this aim of hitting the arrow and reaching that goal of self realization. Every day gone will never ever come back. Even if you become the president of the entire world, the last day in sadhana will never come back. Gone means gone. Next, for a liberated sage who realized that all beings are the self, there is neither delusion nor grief, as there is no second for him. Okay. To him who sees oneness only everywhere, where is delusion and where is grief? The experience of secondlessness is achieved through a finding of one's self in each and every being, including even the wicked, including even the ungrateful. Such an expansion of self leads to the glory of the manifestation of real sense, essence, of being of all beings, where one finds himself the truth, in truth, where the lost self is recovered with unbounded joy. Delusion, grief, fear, any such thing is there where there is a possibility of any other thing exists. Commentary gets over. Delusion, grief, fear, any such thing is there where there is a possibility of any other thing existing apart from you. May it be human being, delusion, grief, fear. When you listen to the second time, you can visualize as to what all things can get you either delusion or grief or fear. He is just listing some of you. Where there is a possibility of any other thing existing apart from you, may it be through a human being, may it be through an animal, may it be through a ghost, may it be through a humongous, huge mountain made of clay which may fall down anytime, a fearful river, ocean, anything existing apart from you has got a potency in it to get you these things, delusion or fear or grief. Suppose there is nothing apart from you. Nothing apart from you. Like that that Jivanmukti Lahiri verse, in that state you are existing. Where sometimes the shades of the tree provides you shelter. Sometimes you face the open sky and smile and laugh and are, are just resting on a mountain rock, and the fruits and whatever available in the nature enough for you. And the fruits, because you know not anything else apart from these things. In the village, our forefathers, would they have known anything about TV or anything about all those things which we are enjoying? And they were blissful. Ignorance is bliss. They were blissful because they never had exposure to anything. All these things came and our peace is gone. And suppose you are there where you are not exposed to anything other than that wild forest. What can bring you? And also in that forest, one thing is no animal, no nothing is there apart from you, nothing is there at all. What element can get you delusion or fear or grief? Now leave the forest. Sometimes even due to the wind, the fast movement of the wind, the leaves can create you some restlessness during the night. Now directly jump from that wild forest existing alone to existing in Kaivalya, aloneness of self throughout. What can get you fear? What can get you delusion? What can agitate you? To whom, to what you will get attached, and what you will hate. And whatever thing can get you an impression, Vasana. One without a second. Secondlessness is what Maharaj writes on the commentary. This had to come flow in between. Now back to the commentary. The seer does not see death, nor sickness, nor any distress. The seer sees only the all and obtains the all entirely. He has delight in the self. He sports in the self. He has company with the self. He has bliss in the self. He has unlimited freedom in all the worlds. One who realizes I am Brahman becomes the all. Even the gods have not got the power to prevent him his becoming thus, for he becomes their very self. When one realizes the eternal, all has been done. Only by knowing him does one pass, only by knowing self, one pass beyond death. There is no other way of going ever there, over there. Where? The realm beyond birth and death. Now back to the flow from within. You can't imagine what an experience it has been. When the flow gushes out, non-stop, incessant, and he has to somehow limit that with some words. Now about the self in all beings. He does not sit and observe the world around him, A, B, C, D, and experience consciously that he, the self, is in all, or all are in self. He exists. Full stop. Only for the onlookers again, only for any expression about a Jivanmukta or a Videhamukta or an Avadhuta or a Jnani in any treatise is only for the sake of sadhakas. And no Jivanmukta takes pride in describing about his own state. He graces, compassionately he graces and gives all about that state for selflessly for the sadhakas to climb up and reach that state. Perverted mind have criticized about the Jivan Muktas describing about their own state in the past without realizing that they were not describing their state. They were describing that state, that too out of love and compassion for the mumukshus to come in centuries to come and reach and yam petra inbam. to reach and experience that state of Ananda at the worldly level. At the creation, not at the creation level, Ananda. And then to transcend even that awareness of Ananda. Then comes Satchit. For him, it flowed and he penned these limited words. For him, there is not even this thought he is the self in all or all are self. For even thinking thus or experience this, he has to be aware of something, some being, some objects existing other than him to realize that they are in me or I am in them. If he can afford a thought awareness of a second existing, then only he can confirm that the second is also verily the same self. And he is in the second, and the second is in him. Where is the second? This is all for the sadhakas to take up in their meditation, that all the treaties have come up. Again, due to the compassion, compassionless compassion, loveless love of the rishis of the yore, otherwise, if up to them, only up to them, upon transcending their creation, all that would have been there would have been Maha Maunam, pure, great silence. No treatise would have ever emerged. It is all for the sadhakas to take up, to listen, to read, and to get convinced that this is my goal, mananam, and then to take up the meditation, nididhyasana of all these treaties, of all these writings to reach there and exist as that, never to come back. The sage who has destroyed all his desires and egoism, who is always calm and serene, equanimous, who does not see any distinction of form, and who has freed himself from delusion or ignorance, shines brilliantly. The state of Jivanmukta is the consciousness of the consummation of spiritual attainments. The expanding nature of consciousness finds its destination reached, and having expanded itself beyond space and limitation, rests in a state of undisturbed changelessness, where fullness, peace, and bliss become the center of experience. He shines brilliantly, says this verse. The shine is not in his color. The shine is not in his physical appearance. There are realized masters who are really dark complexioned. The shine is not, it flows from within now. The shine is not in his appearance. The shine in his eyes, to be experienced only by a few who have observed and known his state, any master state, at least at intellectual level. The shine is the purity within. The shine is the absence, ever absence of agitation within. The shine is bare minimum thought patterns that flow within. The shine is the absence of vasanas in the lake of his pure Manasa Sarovar mind. The shine is the manifestation of the eternal freedom that has been achieved once for all. All this has to be, can only be experienced. Literally, reading, he shines brilliantly, and people look with their intellect, mind, and senses for the shine in a Jivan Mukta, they will be left disappointed. गुलजार साहब wrote, हमने देखी है उन आंखों की खुशबू. How fragrance in eyes. These are all the things which have to be experienced. And all this, she shines brilliantly. This is an inner experience of a sincere, advanced sadhaka. And for the sadhakas to experience in their lifetime, one of their lifetime about this shine, Maharaj wrote and Maharaj's disciple commented, and he is giving this to you as prasadam. Again, back to commentary. So we are going back and forth, like flashback and present, flash commentary to flow, commentary to flow. The Satsankalpa of the Jnani is beyond all powers of Ashtasiddhis and Navariddhis, and he works through his mere self, which is in all. He is the ocean of knowledge and power, and there is nothing that is impossible for him. Commentary ends. He adds, but intuitively, only, may it be Shivanandaji Maharaj, may it be Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, may it be Ramana Maharishi, intuitively, only from the inner divinity, and also on the other side, the intensity of the spiritual aspirant has reached to that peak level. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, if he performed the miracle of touching Narendra and getting him the realization, or what the same Guru Yukteswar did to Mukunda, it comes as a flow. They ever have that divine power within them, which they are not aware. They need not be aware about it at all. But God Almighty, when it is required, brings about that about from them. And it is done. None of the Jivan Mukta will ever own this power, ever. Because God works through a Jivan Mukta when it is required. Yes, universally every Jivan Mukta, every realized master will have the power of knowing in which state in the spiritual progress a sadhaka is. This is universal. They might not speak to that sadhaka for 10 years. Yet, this power is there because this is required. He said what? When God thinks it is required, and this is required in the Guru Shishya Parampara. So this is there. The liberated sage, the prince of ascetics, who has conquered the enemy, ignorance, who has known the secret of true bliss, uses the palms of his hands as his bowl and sleeps blissfully under the foot of a tree, already covered in the Jivanmukta and the Lahari verse. Commentary: the Jivanmukta does not feel the necessity for abiding by what brings pleasure to the physical body. The palm of the hand is his bowl, the earth is his bed, the sky is his clothing. Digambaras. He does not exert to acquire any object that is limited in space and time. His absolute consciousness, by its very nature of all inclusiveness, attracts that part of universal existence where lies the object necessitated by his personal existence. At once, like a flash of lightning, the things needed by him flow to him, like rivers into the ocean, for he is their very self. The only one expression to be noted here within inverted commas is things needed by him, if at all he needs anything. Okay. He gave the earlier sadhakas a session in Viveka Chudamani, where he described the state as Swarajya Samrajya. Same thing is coming here in the commentary. He is a glorious Swarat or self-king and is beyond all comparison. He has reached the climax of perfection and the whole universe is a part of his body. How he sleeps under the foot of the tree, already covered. Okay. Now to few description of the state by Maharaj. A sadhu may be physically nude. He may not keep anything with him. He may use his hands as the begging bowl and live underneath a tree. He may live in a forest. He may be the most. We'll leave this because it requires a great this thing to understand. He may dance in joy. Okay, sometimes. Okay, all these things, when an onlooker sees, they may think that he is still in the world. Okay. Sometimes he said, Maharaj said he may be nude, and he also says he may lead sometimes the life of a big babu. He may wear very fashionable dress. He may eat dainties, yet he may have the least attachment and craving for anything. Sri Ramanuja lived amidst luxuries. He preached even a life of enjoyment. Raja Janaka had the royal pleasures, and yet we all know this expression. He said, my wealth is boundless, yet I have nothing. Even if the whole of Mithila were burnt to ashes, nothing of mine would be burnt. Right? He's maybe a beggar depending upon the kindness of the ladies of the village homes for giving him food. Otherwise, he may starve for a day or two or three. He may not have a roof. What the verse says, the sky as the roof. Or he may lead the life of Janaka in utter luxuries. Yet Munirnavyamoham bhajati dikshat guru shatatama. Never ever deluded by any of these extremes. Now to the penultimate verse. Now Maharaj is again, for the sake of the spiritual sadhakas, absolutely irrelevant after having dealt with the Satchitananda state or beyond the three states of consciousness, beyond the five koshas and all that, not relevant for a Jivan Mukta yet, or not to talk about rishis of the years, thousands of years in the 19th century, 20th century. Maharaj wrote this for the spiritual sadhakas at various level of spiritual evolvement to relate this to their own life and to compare where they are with respect to whatever is being expressed about a Jivan Mukta in this verse. He says, a sage does not care for public criticism. He keeps a cool mind even while he is assaulted. He blesses those who persecute them. Commentary. He beholds only his own self everywhere. Criticism and insult, flogging and assault are the movement of the shadow of his self. He blesses those who ill-treat him and injure him. The consciousness is ever unaffected by virulence and change of any kind. The perfected condition where thought reaches the freedom of immunity from being misled by the external forms of the universe is liberation, even if the forms persist in coming within the sphere of the vision of a jnani. Now to the flow. What other things but his own life, his own life incidents, which few of you know, is a proof of this verse. That he is beyond insults, he is beyond criticism, he is beyond censures. Do you need any more proof than the one in front of you? In the intoxicated, blissful state of self, any criticism or any censure by the external world fail to create any ripple. They come to his ears as mere sounds and go with no impact on his state. Some may garland his disciples, sadhakas, may sometimes garland him with choicest flowers and prostrate at him and sheds tears of what? Tears of what? No expression. If any sadhaka has had any tear, he has to only relate. He leaves you with that thought. Some other may garland him with a garland of used, worn out slippers neither of these extremes affect him. When people criticize him, they see him as a living being whom they hate or dislike or envy due to some reasons which they know, which their vasanas have provoked them from within. But he is a liberated soul who has disassociated with his body mind identity, as though this disassociation has happened several births before. Several births before. Not this birth, not that particular year, not that particular month, not that particular week, several births before creation came. That is this. That is the level of dissociation, disassociation. The world may thus literally dishonor a Jivanmukta, slap him, rob him of all his attainments, all his possessions, all his honor, all his respect. He stands unmoved, as cool as the moonlight. His blessings, samasta loka sukhino bhavantu, does not leave those who did all wrong to him. It pervades the entire creation. Rather, Yatkataksha, in his state of absolute bliss and purity, the world of beings who come near him automatically, invariably get blessed. The worst of such beings may not feel, at least they may not feel his love, they may not feel his blessings, but even when at that moment, when they are in his proximity, the worst of beings also cannot feel any negativity in those few moments, few minutes, when they happen to be in his proximity. Even though they might have tortured him due to their selfish requirements in the past, the negativity may crop up after a few minutes, but not in the proximity. All these are real-time experience which flows. Again, he reiterates this. These are all irrelevant when you reach that state or when you are very near to that state. But when you are in different levels in your evolvement, these things are greatest source of motivation for a spiritual sadhaka as to where he has to be in this world, which can give you, garland you with both extreme kinds of garlands. Where you have to be, which state you have to be, how even at that moment, very instant, when the garland of slippers are being put on and you are being slapped, and someone even spits at you at that time, how samasta loka sukhino bhavantu has to flow from you. These are all greatest source of motivation for the sadhakas sincerely evolving and aiming to reach the goal one day or the other, one birth or the other. Not relevant for a Jivanmukta, yet out of the compassion from the flow of the sage from Ananda Kutir, this has emerged somehow, intuitively. Not relevant in the state of Jivanmukti, though. जीवन्मुक्तो हि संस्कार रूपम जानाति विग्रहम विदेह मुक्ति भागन्यो नेति भेदम निबोधतम. The state Jivan Mukta has a consciousness of body in the form of samskara. The Videha Mukta has no consciousness of the body. This is the last verse in this chapter. The Jivan Mukta melts himself in Brahman even as ice melts in the ocean of water. Knowing it self, experiencing self, commentary, in every single being, the wise, on departing from this world, become immortal. When all the desires that are lodged in the heart are cast off, then at that very instant, the mortal becomes immortal. Herein, he attains Brahman. Attaining him, the seers who are satisfied with knowledge, who are perfected souls, free from passion, tranquil ever, attaining him who is universally omnipresent, those wise devout souls into the all itself do enter. As the flowing rivers in the ocean disappear, leaving their name and form, so also the wise man, being liberated from the name and form, reaches the divine being who is higher than the highest. The flow comes. Stream of river flowing through the mountains, reaching and merging into the ocean. The Jiva rushes to in his final journey to merge with Brahman, God, to exist as what 2016 session? Love is God. Love is God. The final climax before the expression of Meera in that session. Where is Jiva's name and form? And where even there the name and form of Ishvara? When the river has merged with the ocean, not only that the river has lost its identity, the ocean also doesn't have any identity. There is neither Jiva, nor Jagat, nor Ishvara. When the individual consciousness Atman has merged with universal consciousness Brahman, sage Vashishta says to Rama, now about Videha Mukta, that a Videha Mukta need not necessarily dissolve himself in the absolute Brahman. If he so wishes, he may merge in the being of Satchitananda. But if he wishes to remain as an individual, either on a mission or just like that, just as it is without a thought, he may shine as the sun of a universe or rule like Vishnu or become a Brahma or Shiva. Sage Rama is explaining about a Videha Mukta to Rama. Sage Vashishta. The Videha Mukta is Brahman himself and hence lives and acts as the absolute. The Jivan Mukta who has realized that there is nothing anywhere except Brahman merely does not have the departing of the soul as in the case of other individuals. Where can his self depart to? There is no space where the self is not, and hence it does not depart to any place. It merges in itself here only. Mukti is not a thing to be attained. It is not far away to be obtained. It is the very being itself, Sat Chit. And hence the mere knowledge or realization of it itself is Mukti. Bondage is also within you. Mukti is also within you. You have to discover it in the cave of your heart. After few months, he took this sacred treatise, Ribhu Gita, because there are chapters on Jivanmukta and Videhamukta on this. Out of this, just a droplet by way of 1 or 2 sessions have been given to sadhakas in 12 years' time. And he picked up and he thought, if ever he was to go verse by verse of this particular treatise, then he has to will, and he has to intuitively will, and the God has to grace him to come back again, because this birth it is not possible to cover the entire. This is about the Jivan Mukta. I do not have the 5 sensations. 124.3. Wait. One who ever abides in a state of bliss with no trace of attachments to the body or such, in this certitude, I am the Supreme Brahman, the one is a Jivan Mukta. One who is all silence and in great bliss, rid of delusions, and is of the nature of pure consciousness alone, without a trace of a sorrow ridden ego, is a Jivan Mukta. If he has to close his eyes, an hour may pass. If the flow has to come from within on this one single verse. I do not have this 5 sensations such as sound, nor do I have the enemies known as desire, anger, defects, or effects of the intellect. Nor do I have any other illusory things, nor base bondage, nor liberation, because I have no mind or thought or such. I am Brahman devoid of all these. One with this steadfast certitude is a Jivan Mukta. One who completely discards all other ideas, is of the nature of the indivisible one, is peaceful, is rid of all false ideas of multiplicity, and exists without differences, is a Jivan Mukta. One who has this certitude, I have no delusion, mind, intellect, wisdom, ego, life, and various senses. I am Brahman. It's a Jivan Mukta. Now let's go to the Videha Mukta. Pure, attributeless, the eternal self, of the nature of eternal knowledge, subtle, the self of time, yet timeless, the self of gods, yet without gods. And this expression, which few of you may be familiar, the self of all, without all, the truth, the mass of bliss, the peaceful, the shining, established in the nature of the shining supreme Brahman, is the Videha Mukta. There never exists in the least any of the appearances such as the world, individuals, and the supreme. All is of the nature of knowledge, Brahman, and I am that supreme Brahman. Without any of such bhavas in the least, and remaining as just perfectly full consciousness, a mass of bliss, pure, peaceful, and silent is the Videha Mukta. The Videha Mukta is the one who has no interactions with the cycle of births and deaths that projects the picture of the world, the individuals, and the Supreme, who is complete, perfectly full all, who is boundless being, who is the nature of knowledge, who is the mass of bliss, who is the one, who is himself the supreme Brahman, of the nature of the peerless expanse of space, and who is ever perfectly full without any delusion. Maharaj's lines. I am neither mind nor body, immortal self I am. I am witness of three states. I am knowledge absolute. I am fragrance in jasmine, beauty in flowers, coolness in the eyes, flavor in coffee, greenness in this leaf, hue in the rainbow, taste buds in the tongues, essence in the orange, mind of all minds, prana of all pranas, soul of all souls, self of all selves, Atman in all beings, apple of all eyes, sun of all suns, light of all lights. Pranava of Vedas, Brahman of Upanishads, silence in forests, thunder in all clouds, effulgence in the sun, wave in the radio, support of this world, soul of this body, ear of all ears, eye of all eyes, time, space, dik and controller. I am God of all gods, Guru and the director. I am melody and music in raga and raginis. I am the sound in either, Shakti in Virya, power in electricity, intelligence in mind, brilliance in fire, penance in ascetics, I am reason in philosophers, will in jnanis, prema in bhaktas, samadhi in yogas. I am that I am. I am that I am. Bhajo Radhe Krishna, Bhajo Radhe Shama, Soham, 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 Shivoham, Shivoham, Om, 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 Om. Now, what are all the descriptions? Maybe he may not be covering all. Some of the descriptions in various verses in today's satsang. I am beyond three states of consciousness. I am beyond the three bodies. I am beyond the five koshas. I am beyond the desires, beyond the ego. I am beyond any criticism. I am ever in bliss. I have no consciousness of the body. I have realized all beings in self and self in all beings. All these things. Now, when he started the one verse per day yajna of Ashtavakra Gita, three talks have already been sent of verse 1, 2, and 3 of the chapter 1. It was Swami's will. Back in Bhiwadi, he started from first chapter and he he came up like when you type, even the flow of the inside flow. So of the latest verse comes, chapter 20 comes at the top, right? 18 or 19, whatever is the last chapter. Chapter 20, I think. 19 we covered, 20 is the last. The one was at the least, at the bottom. And while he was scrolling down, what happened? It reached where there was a space between where the fifth chapter ended and where the sixth chapter started. And the sixth chapter first verse started with this expression, Akashavat Anantoha, infinite as space. Infinite as space. Believe him while at office, while driving, while resting, and even midnight, sometimes when the sleep is gone, the state is intoxicated the in the infinite, inexpressible depth of this one expression, Akashavat Anantoham. Of course, when you reach one day, one verse per day, when you reach the sixth day, this part may come, but he could not stop giving it today, sharing it, not giving, just sharing it today. And there is beauty in that verse when it comes to the second line, which is not covering, that I will ask you to hold on till we reach the sixth chapter. And while driving, he looks up at the sky. And you know what? He was talking on that, in that line, each day while he was driving, and each day while he was coming back, he was, the inflow K was coming and he was talking. It was a monologue. And also it turned out to be, when it came to the second, that you will realize the beauty when you reach that verse. When you came to the second line, the monologue became a dialogue, because he was uh, like a mad person for the onlookers. He was talking the first line as a guru, and he was explaining about the second line's uh, relevance to a shishya. So he was talking as a guru, he was talking as a shishya, again he was talking as a guru. All these things have been happening. He looks at the sky. The sky seems to be endless, limitless, borderless, infinite. So is the earth. But stage by stage, if we go, we know, we are aware that all these things emerged after five elements, the subtlest of the five elements being space. Akashavat, infinite as space. Space pervades. Therefore, the space ought to be infinitely more expansive than the sky. Obviously, the space has to be infinitely anantam, infinite than the earth. And as pure consciousness, I may not be aware, I may not be thinking about it, but if the space exists, the space has to be within me, the pure consciousness. And if earth exists, it has to be within the space, when the space is within me, the pure consciousness. And me as a jiva, embodied jiva, has to be roaming around somewhere within this space, within the earth, which is within the space, somewhere. Then, for me, the pure consciousness. Now, come back to the verses. Where are the three bodies? Where are the five koshas? Where are the three states of consciousness or even awareness of the Turiya? Where is delusion? They are all so kindergarten level desires. Where is fear? Where is agitation? Where is the feeling of peace while being criticized? Where is even the awareness of being in all and all being in self? Akashavat anantoham. Maybe for the leftover life, the joy of this expression may never ever leave him for a day. At midnight, when he goes to the restroom and comes back and lies down, the whisper is from within without a voice, Akashavat Anantoha. When he pushes the accelerator and drives, the whisper, Akashavat Anantoha. What more do I say? And in what better finite expressions do I say? Infinite as space. Now comes the relevance of Anantam. He has been telling you, Anantam, you can leave it. You have to be in Satchit. But when Satchit is discovered from within, Anantam cannot be dispensed with. It comes together. All of them are one. They are not betwixt. They are not juxtaposed with one another. They are all one. Satchit Anantam, all one together. That is the state of Jivan. Where are those who are criticizing you either? Where are those who are praising you either? Where is this world? Where is agitation? Where is ego? Where is arthakama? Where are desires? Where are attachments? Where is you, the jiva, who is in the space, in the earth, somewhere? Where disassociated from body mind also seems to be a very normal gross expression. to describe that state. Timeless. Many years are gone in this lifetime. Arise. Otherwise, you are left behind. Too late. Stop. Cease to be in the world. Cease to be in the world of objects. Cease to be affected by the pairs of opposites in the world of objects. When he is holding you, he is hugging you, he is slapping you, and he is boxing you, and he is telling you, your body is in earth, earth is in space, space in you, you are that. Many births have gone wasted. This birth up to now, how much wasted you only know. Or how much to the how much where are you as compared to your very nature as Akashavat Anantoham, your conscience will tell you better. Run, 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 run. Or else you are left behind in this race for realization. Hari Om. Tat Sat.